Discovered I wasn't even ranked on the girls' hotness list at work. Now everyone's apologizing and I just want to be left alone. I, 21 male, work at a store part-time while I'm attending classes. There are a total of 21 of us who work at this store, 13 girls, 8 guys, and we're all around the same age. We have a pretty good working atmosphere, no open hostility so far I know, and everyone gets along well, and jokes around with everyone. Though I will say, the guys and girls do tend to stick together more. As for me, I'm fairly well liked by everyone. I try and be pleasant to everyone I work with because who needs an asshole coworker? Unfortunately, here's where things go bad. One of the guys who work us, Chris 23 meters, is dating one of the girls in the store, Ashley 21F. Chris was apparently BSing on her phone when he came across the girls' group chat. He said it was mostly girl talk, but he found a list ranking all of the guys in the store by their hotness. He had a laugh about it and screenshotted it to send to our group chat. Everyone saw it and had a laugh at the rankings. The guy at the top, Chad, 22 male, kept sending crown emojis. Then everyone noticed I wasn't there. I didn't look at the chat till later since I was with my parents at the time and had it on mute. When I saw I wasn't on the list, it was like I was slapped across the face. And the worst part of this? The list was out of 10, and they included the 3 delivery guys who drop off stuff and some of the girls flirt with. This crushed me, in a way I don't think I've ever been crushed before. It's like, damn, I'm that much of a hideous monster that I'm not worthy of being ranked. I spent the rest of my day being miserable, and not talking to anyone. When I wasn't responding to the chat, the guys all tried to hit me up individually, but I didn't respond. I looked into the chat and the guys were starting to be pissed on my behalf, which I definitely didn't want. I decided to call in sick the next day, and when I didn't show up, apparently it all came out into the open. The girls at the store started messaging me, apologizing to me and making all kinds of excuses. Quite frankly, I didn't care. I decided to face the music the next day and suck it up at work. When I walked into work, the atmosphere was a lot more tense than it usually was. Becky 23F, who is the assistant manager and was on the group chat, pulled me to the side and asked if we could talk. I said okay. She apologized on behalf of everyone in the chat and said that the list was not serious. It was girl talk, and not meant to be seen outside the chat. She said that everyone, especially the women at the store, like me for far more valuable things than simply how I look, and that if it were a list of nicest guys in the store, I'd be number 1. I couldn't help but feel like this was damage control and being friend-zoned all in one motion. I said, thank you, but I'm past it and I don't want anyone's pity, and I went about my day. Of course, I did end up getting that pity with a lot of the guys coming over to talk to me, and some of the girls as well. I got so fed up I went to the manager and asked to go home early. She agreed because she kinda knew what was going on. This was all about 5 days ago, and since then everyone at the store has been trying to get me to talk, but I haven't gone back. I don't want pity and I don't want sympathy. If they think I'm ugly, then fine, but don't try and justify it, or make me feel better about it. The reason I'm here is because I need advice on how to navigate the situation at my job and with my friends. How do I tell everyone to basically leave me alone and not pity me? Because honestly, I'm leaning towards just quitting. Update 1. First, I didn't care necessarily if they found me ugly or whatever. I just felt like being left off the list was a deliberate slap in the face. I didn't, or don't feel entitled to anything. Next, the manager of the store, Barb, was not involved in the group chat in any way. She's a 38-year-old married woman with 2 kids who is far too busy trying to get us to stop smoking weed behind the store on our breaks. What I meant to say is that she was made aware of the situation after it was brought to her attention. Third, I wasn't aware of the list right away. I was with my parents and wasn't paying attention to the chat. Now, after reading the comments on the first thread, I decided that while I could be upset that I was deemed unattractive, I probably shouldn't care as much I did. I kinda wanted to discover why not being on the list hurt me so much, so I took my sister's advice and will be seeking a therapist. Funny enough, my grandpa has a saying that came to mind when reading the comments in the first thread. Whenever my dad or his brothers and sisters would be upset about something, my grandpa would tell them, I didn't get wounded in the Yadrong Valley so you could sit there and cry about X. The X could be anything. The point is he was telling them to toughen up. It became a joke among my aunts and uncles that passed down to my cousins. So I could hear my grandpa telling me in head, I didn't get wounded in the Yadrong Valley so you could sit there and cry about some girls thinking you're ugly. And that got me up a bit. I was still feeling kinda shitty, but I decided to put on a brave face and tell my manager I'd come into work the next day after posting the thread. As soon as I walked in, the manager took me to her office and said the owner of the store wanted to see me. I wasn't really worried since I had a good relationship with Carl, who was the owner. Carl told me he heard about the story and he was sorry about everything. He said the list was childish and unprofessional and he was sorry I had to take time off to deal with it. He said the girls all got a strong reprimand and a stern warning that this wouldn't be tolerated in the future. He also suspended Becky because he said she should have not been in the chat to begin with, and if she was, she should stop the list stuff. He also emphasized that he told everyone that he hadn't talked to me yet, and that he wasn't punishing anyone because I asked for it. He also said he'd pay me for the shifts I missed as a bit of compensation for the mental distress. I thanked him and told him I was over it pretty much right away. I just hated having everyone think I needed coddling and wanted everything to cool down. With that, we shook hands and I started my day. Everyone welcomed me back, and I said hey to everyone. I went to my locker and found a letter slipped inside. It was a handwritten letter from all the girls. I'll summarize here because the list was long. In it they apologized profusely for the chat and the list. They said that nothing was going to make it right, or make me believe them, but they wanted to say once again, the list was non-serious and meant to be some stupid fun. And no one was meant to see it. They said that they all loved me individually, that I was a good person and that makes me more attractive than most people who are considered hot. Interestingly, they said I was considered cute. Okay, then lol. I flagged down one of the girls on shift who I get along with really well, Sam /20f/, to tell the group that I accept their apology. I told her to tell them that I got over it pretty much right away, that I just took time off because I wanted the situation to die down and that I didn't take anything personally. Also, I told her that I'm sorry that anyone got in trouble. I didn't talk to the Barb or Carl about anything until today. I didn't want this to become an issue at all. Unfortunately, the guys made it an issue on my behalf. Sam apologized again and told me she'd tell everyone. And that's that. Sorry if this was not the explosive post you all were looking for. I just wanted to get this situation resolved as soon as possible and put behind me so that I and everyone else can move on. I am thinking about not returning next semester, however. Update 2. I had enough people in my DMs asking me how I was doing and I got sick of responding to everyone individually, so I thought I'd do it here since this really didn't warrant a whole new thread. First, I'm doing great. Therapy has been amazing so far. I even managed to go in person, which my therapist says is really rare these days, but now that I'm back in school, I'll be doing virtual. Back to the point, I learned a lot about myself in therapy and I've had my view of the world altered to some degree. It's actually really cool to see the world in a new light. Second, I know this is gonna sound cliche as fuck, but I started weight training. I'm not trying to be Chris Hemsworth or something, I just want enough to have some definition, and abs. I was always a little skinny, so I'm going for the swimmer's physique. I also got a haircut and changed up my wardrobe some. All of my clothes except for a few were from high school, so it was time to change it up. No more band shirts and old sweats. Instead, I'm trying for a semi-casual look. Or at least that's what my sister thinks I should be doing. Third, as for the store, I quit. I couldn't work there anymore, it would have been just too weird. I finished the semester and got a summer internship. Funny enough, I ran into one of the girls who worked with me at the mall. She lives a town over. She asked if I was still mad about the list and I told her I wasn't and never was. She said they really didn't mean anything by the list and they really did love me and thought I was super nice and that I was pretty cute. I guess that's a good thing, lol. It kinda sucks because I was looking forward to being a 4-year lifer at the store and hanging out with everyone more, but hey, it is what it is. Update 3. First off, the internship I mentioned in my last update? It's actually been amazing, and not in the just something better than my old job kind of way. I got placed with this mid-size marketing firm, which sounds snoozy, but it's the most social place I've ever worked. Think startup energy, group lunches, Friday trivia, and a wildly active company Slack that's basically 50% memes. To be honest, I was anxious my first week, paranoid that everyone would size me up with some unspoken list in their heads. But my therapist, yep, still going, still worth every penny, helped me reframe all that, and about 2 weeks in, I got hit with some serendipity that still cracks me up. There's a recruiting event at the company and I recognize a face, Chad. Yep, the king of the hot list himself, crown emoji spammer and all. Turns out he's angling for an internship too, and since I'm friendly with the coordinator by now, I end up giving him all the unofficial advice, what not to say, to Jen from HR, where to find the espresso machine, avoid the CEO's weird football quiz, etc. We actually have a real conversation instead of just locker room banter for the first time ever. And holy crap, he comes right out and says, man, I kind of miss the old store crew, but I don't miss the drama. Did you ever figure out why you weren't on that dumb list? I tell him, nah. In the end, I figured lists are pretty pointless anyway, now I just go by vibes, which cracks us both up and kind of puts the ghost to rest. We share a look and there's this total sense of relief, we're not stuck in the past anymore, and it's actually funny now. Chad did not get the internship, he bombed the football quiz, but the moment was golden. And it got me thinking a lot about all the stuff we carried around at the store that honestly, half of us never even understood. Fast backward, a detail I never really shared. While I was still at the store, right before I quit for good, I actually confronted Becky, the assistant manager who got suspended, because that whole situation had always felt murky to me. She'd sent me a message a week after everything blew up that just said, can we talk, please? And I couldn't make myself answer until the last minute. We finally met up for coffee in the university commons and she straight up admits, the girls did debate putting me on the list. But in the end, they left me off because, and I quote, you're not that guy, you're the guy everyone likes differently. That confused me even more. She explains, apparently 2 of the girls had a thing for me, but both got shy about it, neither wanted to start any drama, and the rest didn't want things to get weird. She said I was the Switzerland of the group. Not the class clown, not the athlete, not the brooding indie dude, but just the guy everyone somehow trusted with their weirdest life secrets. She tells me, if there's a group hug, you're the reason everyone joins in. That struck me weird at first. But honestly, I'll take it. So, Leaving the store still felt like the right move, but it wasn't a hard cut. Actually, 2 weeks after I left, we had an honest-to-God reunion barbecue at Chad's house. It was half the old crew and a handful of random new hires, but for the first time, no one pretended nothing happened. Chris gave me a backhanded apology for leaking the list, and the delivery guys brought a fake trophy labeled hottest guy in the store, relative to our group chat. It's the dumbest looking thing you've ever seen, an action figure glued to a cardboard base. I nearly died laughing and kept it as a desk trophy at my internship. But that barbecue started something, because suddenly everyone was ready to get real with each other. The group chat, yes, the old guy group chat, resurrected for coordinating rides, turned into this unfiltered support line. Dudes talking about dating nerves, drama with exes, parents divorcing, school anxiety, even actual crying emojis. No man up sarcasm this time. I'm kinda proud of us, honestly. It's like the list shattered something shallow and let us actually care about the stuff that matters. Okay, now for the craziest twist. Remember Sam, the girl I always got along with at work, the one who passed on my apology? Well, about a month ago, totally out of the blue, she DM'd me. It was a meme at first, POV, you wanna cry about a group chat again? But we ended up chatting late into the night. Turns out she'd moved on to a new job too and was also in therapy, working through her own I need everyone to like me thing. We both laughed at how much we'd changed in a year, and then something just clicked. We hung out. First time was as friends, catching up, swapping stories about retail horror. She wins, hands down. Customer pooped in the dressing room once, nobody will top that. Second time, it was clear there was something more there. Not gonna spell out every detail because, well, some things are mine, but we're dating, not labeling it, okay, maybe dating. It's messy, it's fun, and neither of us thinks group chats should decide anyone's worth anymore. So yeah, life is hilariously unpredictable. I was mortified to be left off a stupid list. Then I learned I was more than the sum of a dozen coworkers' hotness votes, and so is everyone else. Now I've got a new crew, a dumb action figure trophy on my desk, and maybe, possibly, something real with one of the best people from that old job. If you're ever stuck feeling invisible, left out, not enough, trust me, there's usually a hell of a plot twist waiting around the corner, and no one gets to make a list that decides your worth, except maybe yourself, and even then, only with the right people around you. Update 4. Alright, buckle up for update 3 because I doubt anyone could have predicted how weird and somehow awesome my summer ended up getting. Yeah, the saga of the list still wasn't over, and this time, it involved more group chat shenanigans, one accidental viral moment, and a truly wild twist regarding, you guessed it, Becky, the suspended assistant manager, of all people. What had happened is that Chad, yes, that Chad, still undefeated meme king, texted me out of nowhere. Dude. Check our guide chat. ASAP. That was the original crew group chat, where typically the wildest stuff is a cursed Subway sandwich photo or someone beefing about fantasy football. But this time, there was a screenshot. And oh my god, I nearly spat out my coffee. Apparently, one of the delivery guys, Mike, has a podcast with his roommate. Just two dudes talking about terrible retail jobs, dating stories, etc. Well, somehow, he starts telling the story of the store with the girls' hotness ranking. No names, but the details were painfully recognizable. The podcast gets picked up by this retail workers meme page with a couple of million followers. Suddenly our old store, fictionalized as Store Q, is the comment section obsession for a day. Cue our entire old staff, including girls and delivery guys, blowing up the chat with total chaos. Who leaked this? I can't believe the world knows about the list. Wait, am I Beefcake Brian or Justin with the eyebrows? I thought it had died down after the first panic, but 3 days later, someone at BuzzFeed emails me, yeah, really. Apparently Mike, the delivery guy/podcaster, said, you gotta talk to Op, he was at the heart of the hotness ranking incident, and he's the reason our crew got way chiller about mental health. Never in my life thought I'd be contacted for a story titled Retail Workers Spill Their Most Petty Store Drama. I nearly ignored the email but my therapist's voice echoed in my head, new experiences can help rewire the sting of old ones, so I said, why not? Next thing I know, 2 days later I'm doing a Zoom interview with a BuzzFeed freelancer, wearing my least wrinkly shirt and the most chill but wise face I could muster. Yes, I managed to get through the whole interview without naming anyone, except when asked what really got to me that day, I admitted that being left off the list felt so much worse than being last. Suddenly, there was this weird moment of applause. Yeah, applause in a Zoom call, very 2020s, because apparently, tons of people relate to being the forgettable one more than the unattractive one. And the reporter actually said, that's going in the feature. Okay, so what happened next is even more surprising. The article goes up, people start DMing me. Not in a hey cutie way, but with actual stories from their own jobs, where they were the Switzerland, or the safe guy, or someone who got left off some arbitrary list. One person wrote, I was excluded from Dress Down Friday and didn't realize until 2 p.m. why everyone was in jeans except me. Dude, heartbreaker. It was bizarrely wholesome, like, confession hour with strangers. I ended up responding to a bunch and even followed a couple on Insta. But the most game-changing DMs? From Becky. Out of nowhere, she writes, saw your interview. I cried. Can I actually apologize, for real this time? I'd already kind of forgiven Becky, she got suspended, after all, but she wanted to meet up again. This time it was less University Commons, more random indie bakery. She shows up, sheepish as hell, but pulls a printout of the article with scraggly notes in the margins. She says, I realized after reading this that I let the store social bubble decide who was worthy and who wasn't, and that was total BS. Then, plot twist, I'm quitting retail, she says. I start a job with a nonprofit next week. And when they asked me about conflict resolution, I told them the story, exactly like you did. I ask if she means the whole story, the list, suspensions, everything. She grins and says, yep. My interviewer laughs so hard he spilled his latte and said, if you can handle Gen Z office drama, you can handle working with volunteers in crisis zones. So, yeah, Becky's off to go help coordinate food banks. Who would have guessed? Other random developments. The group chat with the boys is absolutely popping off. 4 of the guys started a monthly poker night. I don't even play, but I go for the pizza and bad jokes. Chris has a new girlfriend, who, he promises, never ranks guys, but to be fair, she does have a celebrity crush list involving every single member of BTS, and Mike's podcast got picked up for sponsorship from some anti-harassment and retail foundation. I literally can't make this up. They wanted me as a recurring guest. I'll let you all know if I polish my radio voice and go full retail survivor soon. As for Sam, well, dating not dating turned into our friends are placing bets on whether we'll survive a weekend trip together. We survived. She snores, I use too much hot sauce, but otherwise, somehow, it works. Therapy is still a thing, and now it's less about the store drama and more about, how do I trust people again after trust gets weirdly broken over something dumb? Answer, slowly, but yes, it gets better. TL, DR? Not that you asked, but too late. The store drama probably changed my life in a way no minimum wage gig ever does for most people. I learned the upside of being Switzerland. Apparently, being in the middle means you get to pivot left or right, and sometimes, host poker nights and nearly get podcast famous. If you're reading this deep into the internet, and you're still stuck on the list, or feeling like the invisible one, give it a year, or 2. Some hot mess delivery guy might just make you weirdly famous. Your former assistant manager will probably save the world, and that person you always trusted might snore, but might also be perfect for you. And if you can't laugh at yourself by the end of it, just remember, you're probably crowned champion in somebody's secret, dorky, entirely non-serious group chat. Update 5. You'd think, by now, my old store drama would be totally in the rear view, right? But apparently the universe has a deeply messed up sense of humor, because just when you think life's all business casual wardrobe, poker night pizza, and figuring out how to make shishitos edible for Sam, hint, they are never edible for Sam, your past comes roaring back in the most ridiculous, deeply Gen Z way possible. Let's get to the wild new stuff. So, early fall, my marketing internship unexpectedly gets extended. Turns out, not bombing company trivia and having a knack for diffusing office tension with vibes-only wisdom makes you a pretty hot commodity in a neurotic open office. I'm feeling good. Sam's now made it an Instagram bit to post pics of my old action figure trophy wherever she can get away with sneaking it. I'm adulting, or at least faking it well enough. But then, my phone starts lighting up. First, old coworker Rena texts, then Chad, then even Barb, the former manager, who's apparently finally given up on policing anyone's smoke breaks, as her snap was Barb 420. All with the same question, did you know the store's changing hands? As in, being bought out. And not just by some faceless chain. They were turning our beloved dysfunctional workplace into a trendy local coffeehouse with, I swear, a retro retail theme. What does that even mean? We reuse the registers for a vintage checkout experience, but with kombucha shots. Peak millennial/zoomer nonsense. I figure it's just another weird nostalgia rabbit hole, until Chad mentions the new owners are throwing an all-call fond farewell soft opening for former staff before the official launch. Former hot list? Invited. Delivery guys with podcasts? VIPs. One night only. Free drinks. Group photo wall, and here's the kicker, they want one of us to say a few words about old store Q. Guess who's gently railroaded into it? Yeah. Chad literally goes, you're the only one who won't roast us or, like, try to unionize the coffee machines. So I go. Sam comes too, mostly to watch the train wreck, but Becky's driving in from the food bank job, Rena's there, and even Chris and his BTS-loving new girlfriend show up. It's surreal, like being at your own high school reunion, except nobody has glamorized memories. We take in the retail nostalgia decor. They hung our old employee of the month photos, which means yes, my awkward sophomore year haircut is now immortalized near the espresso bar. The speeches are genuinely touching. Barb says something about how the store paid her mortgage through 2 babies and 1,000 cases of misplaced LaCroix. Chad, shocker, manages an actual heartfelt moment. We were just goofy kids counting down to lunch breaks, then suddenly the breaks were the only thing holding us together. Becky talks about conflict and forgiveness, including a subtle dig at group chats without context, and honestly, she crushes it. Then it's my turn. And I freeze for a second, Just looking around, here's Sam at a table full of kombucha, Chris still the loudest dude in the room, everyone else's face is exactly the same as they were that day after the list, nervous, awkward, bracing for some high school movie moment. And for the first time, I don't care about the ranking or being not hot enough or even being the butt of the joke. I just feel grateful. So I say it. The real version. This place was almost a joke to all of us, until it was home. We made fun of each other, sometimes too much. Some of us got left out or hurt, but we kept coming back, not for the pay or the snacks, oh my god, never the snacks, but because, somehow, weirdly, this crew kept each other standing when we honestly had every reason not to. And that's pretty rare. Not a dry eye in the kombucha bar, I swear. I sit down and Chad throws a crown hat on me that he made from a brown apron and vintage barcode stickers. Everyone cheers like it's graduation or maybe a roast. The only real awkwardness is when Barb tries to get a selfie and accidentally calls Sam my girlfriend and Sam just grins at me, then flicks the curly straw on my drink because we're not labeling it, still. But the night's not done. Another throwback, out of nowhere, Mike the delivery guy turned podcaster, who is loving his minor meme fame, rolls in with his recorder and says he wants to do a live from the last shift segment. I tell one story, the day we all hid when Chad dropped an entire pallet of seltzer, then 10 minutes later everyone blamed me, despite the fact I was on register. The room loses it, you really can't beat real retail chaos. Later, Becky slides up with an announcement, she's organizing a volunteer event for her new nonprofit, and she wants to invite anyone from the old store fam. She looks right at me and Sam and goes, I picked the first weekend of winter break, so no excuses. Chad chimes in that he'll bring body glitter if anyone tries to list people again. No one objects. Not even me this time. Afterwards, outside, the store's name literally glowing neon for the last time, Sam slips her hand into mine. You know, she says, grinning, I used to think being Switzerland meant boring. Turns out it means you're the one everybody trusts. I can't help it. I laugh. I was just aiming to not end up banned from the group chat, honestly. She squeezes my hand and for the first time, it doesn't feel like some fluke or consolation prize. We drive home with Fleetwood Mac absolutely blaring, her singing off-key, my dumb action figure trophy on the dash, and a calendar alert already set for Becky's event. Maybe none of this is the life I saw coming, but it's pretty damn good for a one-time invisible guy. So, from almost quitting over a list, to giving a speech in a neon-lit coffee shop, to this totally unironic chosen family thing with people who once forgot I existed, I guess here's the real update. The list might still suck, but I sure don't. Turns out, sometimes being left off just gives you room to make your own damn story. Update 6. Okay, apparently the universe is not done with the epic saga of the store formerly known for hotness lists, kombucha shots, and dangerously misplaced LaCroix. Somehow, I'm no longer just the Switzerland of the crew, I'm the guy whose story refuses to go quietly, like an obscure 80s song endlessly sampled by TikTokers. Here's how it all got even wilder. The first volunteer event Becky planned at her new nonprofit turned out to be much more than just an excuse for the old crew to crowd around folding tables and snack on Costco muffins. She'd secured a gig at the regional food distribution center right before the December holidays, so our chosen family group chat basically erupted with carpool plans, playlist debates, and, thanks to Chad, a spreadsheet ranking who would most likely wear a hairnet backwards for the meme. Spoiler, it was Chad, wearing two at once. When the day came, we carpooled in 3 cars, old work squad, Sam riding shotgun with me, the action figure trophy belted securely in the middle seat, Fleetwood Mac, obviously, blasting all the way. Walking in, it was surreal. The warehouse was bigger than the entire strip mall our store used to anchor, and for 15 minutes we were a really awkward, giggly group of 20-somethings trying to figure out if repacking pasta actually meant competitive speed bagging. We mostly got in the way, but no one kicked us out. The best part, though, was that Becky, who, after years of being the manager, now looked like someone finally living the plot twist she didn't see coming. She gave 0 PowerPoint speeches but instead pulled me aside and handed me, swear to God, a stack of old employee suggestion cards that she'd found stashed in a filing box. These were the real gold: confessions, inside jokes, gossip scribbles. Chris suggesting Corgi Day at work, Sam writing replace all Muzak with Beyonce, and one from someone that said, we need a list of nicest coworkers, Switzerland gets the gold every time. We read them aloud during our break and everyone tried to claim credit for the most absurd suggestions. Not gonna lie, it was probably the happiest I've ever seen the whole group. No retail tension, no manager glaring at their watch, just the pure adrenaline of being together out of context for the first time ever. That set the tone for what happened next. Turns out, the podcast episode Mike did at the last shift party picked up enough buzz that a local journalist, who moonlights as a stand-up at the same bar we all used to sneak into after shifts, caught wind of the story. She wanted to do a comedy set on retail friendship, from group chats to actual emotional growth. Mike, of course, signed all of us up for a table at open mic night, Sam's idea of torture, but in the end, she agreed, since as she put it, at least my snoring won't be the only thing people mock. The night was pure chaos, in the best way. The comic rift about customer service hell and the only thing worse than working retail, thinking your coworkers know your Starbucks order better than your last name. When she dropped a line about being the person who didn't even make the dumb crush list, half our old staff practically choked on their seltzer. Afterwards she pulled me aside, grinned mighty, and said, "Seriously, though, making peace with being the glue, not the star? That stuff's revolutionary. Then, you should try stand-up. Everyone's tired of lists, but we never get enough stories about what happens after the drama. Cue existential crisis. But also, no way could I say no." So the next week, with Sam in the front row and half the old store family scattered across the audience, I hit the stage. Sweaty hands, knees jelly, dumb action figure trophy beside the mic for good luck. I told the story, the filtered, self-deprecating, honest version, the group chat, the awful day after, Switzerland jokes, action figure trophies, speed bagging pasta, and how it turned out nobody remembers who was number one, but everyone, to this day, remembers who was there for them when it mattered. Something about seeing Rena, Becky, Chris, Chad, and yes, even Barb 420, whooping it up in the audience made it all feel real. Not awkward, not self-pitying. Just, like, a badge of honor. And after my set, 3 people came up to me, all strangers, to say, "Hey, that was me once. Thanks for talking about it." Since then, we've all started this weird, unlikely tradition. Every last Friday of the month, whoever can swings by the new coffee shop that our old store became for nostalgia night. The new owner is totally in on it. They even put up a sign above the seltzer fridge, "Switzerland table, reserved for anyone who laughs at themselves." Sometimes there's 6 of us, sometimes 15. We drink hyper-caffeinated lattes, play Guess the Muzak track, and compare who survived the wildest new job. The delivery guys still podcast from the corner booth, asking other ex-retail workers for their life after group chat tales. Chad has officially retired from all list making. Becky occasionally drops by with cause flyers, and still teases me about the nicest coworker gold card. Sam sits beside me, typically snorting at my dumbest jokes, and has started championing the Switzerland table as the only place you get crowned for being normal. Meanwhile, yeah, the action figure trophy still rides shotgun, because old jokes never totally die. Sam's still not letting me call her my girlfriend, but, look, she started sending me relationship memes unironically, and if that's not love in 2024, I don't know what is. So, to sum up, I went from invisible to the glue. The list is dead, but our stories are alive and somehow, weirdly, keep getting funnier and sweeter the farther we get from that break room. Turns out, there are worse fates than being left off a dumb ranking, like never getting to see what happens when you gather the most mismatched, accidental family you could ask for and let them grow past it, together.